nowadays marketing and jumping in front of a camera and whatever is easy, but it was bloody hard. And I want anybody out there that's thinking, oh, I couldn't do what these guys could do. I bet you could.
Welcome to Business Technicalities, and it takes a community to build a company. This is a fun discussion. We have Nigel, we have Sean, and we have two guys with long hair, one guy with no hair.
Well, yes, thank you. You know, Tom, you're so observant.
He's usually got a silly shirt on, but today we've chose I think Sean flexed and blew the sleeves right off that shirt.
Sun's out, guns out. That's what they told
me. Sun's out, guns out. It's actually summer.
It's two tickets to the gun show.
Yes.
It's a natural light shirt for everybody who drinks beer. And, you know, I'm all natural. I mean, that's kind of how I saw this today.
Natty light. You mean nasty light?
It's natty light all day long.
Nasty light all day long.
It is horrible. It's a horrible beer.
It is a terrible beer. They are not a sponsor. If they did sponsor it,
if they sponsored be a great beer.
I don't know. I still wouldn't drink it even if they sponsored it.
I'd say you have to drink it. You just got to say it's great. There's buzzwords.
Learn
marketing. Great. We have Nigel on. Act like you know what you're doing with marketing. He's a expert.
Yes, and for those of you that don't know, right there next to Nigel, it says Tech Tribe. I'm a member of Tech Tribe. It's a really cool community, and Nigel's going to tell a little bit of background of how he got to where he is and some of the things involved in it. It's a really cool community where a lot of technical people go and share knowledge and collaborate together, and it's really important to build these communities because this is really a key to learning from each other. People think of things in such a competitive, narrow mindscape of, you know, I can't talk to someone else. My sauce is secret. And I can't share it with competition type thing. But you actually see the most successful companies engaging in a lot of community with each other, even what you would appear from an outsider to be companies that are head-to-head competition. Matter of fact, there's members that are members of Tech Tribe that are local within, 15 miles of me. And I still communicate with them. I'll still talk about anything related to the business and things like that and being very open. So I think this is going to be a fun discussion here.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with that. I mean, and to add to that even, and I know we have to give Nigel his 15 minutes of fame because nobody really knows who he is. We're speaking of communities. We're heading down to IT Nation Secure. Actually, Tom will be with me.
Yep.
And we're actually gonna ConnectWise is gonna host a lunch for the tribe, which is cool. So it's absolutely spot on. I've made my whole business through community engagement. So I'm a big fan, Nigel, of you and what you've done. And we won't make it. We're not dating, so it's okay. And you're not a sponsor either. So therefore,
checks are in the post.
So let's talk about you though. Nigel Moore. Who are you, Nigel, at a very deep level?
So here now, I am founder of the Tech Tribe, which is an MSP community. We've got something like 3,000 MSPs all around the world now. And however, back many moons ago, starting out in the tech industry in the early 2000s or late 1990s, I was this weedy little introverted nerd that couldn't talk to a single person without sweat pouring down my shirt and running off into the corner, scared to hide. And eventually, in about 2003, I started working for an MSP, and I worked for that for a couple of years, kind of getting a little bit of confidence around talking to people and whatnot. And in 2007, 2008, I ended up starting my own MSP. And I was just like you said, Tom, I was in this world of like competition, like don't go anywhere near them. And I know a little bit of stuff now, but there ain't no way I'm sharing that with my competition. And one day I ended up at a Microsoft building in Sydney at a community event. It was called SMB IT Pro Professionals out here, which is very similar to the ASCII groups over in the US. And it was a group of other MSPs in Sydney. And I jumped into this room, and there's about 30 or 40 people in there, and they were all talking, listening to the speakers up the front. And I'm cowering down the back going, holy crap, these guys are all my competitors. What the heck is going on here? And during the break, all the pizza came out, and I ran down the back, got a piece of pizza because I was starving, and jumped into a corner, and someone spotted me and came up and said hello and was introducing himself. And we got to talking, and I started talking about that I was trying to do managed service agreement plans. Like I was trying to switch from break fix to managed services. And this was back in 2008. And he goes, oh, what's your email address? And I'm going, oh, like this guy's a competitor. What's he going to do? Like spam me or whatever. And he types into his phone and goes, hang on, I'm just sending you my managed service agreement template. Go and use that. And I went, like my jaw dropped to the floor. And I went, like, what is this? Like one of my competitors sending me this $8,000 legal agreement and trying to help me out in my business. And I'd never seen like competition working with each other before in any scenario. So it was all new to me. And that incident kicked off it opened my eye to this whole world of our industry where we all serve and help and support and look after each other like crazy. And the notion of competition really doesn't exist very much in our industry. It's a lot of co-opetition and a lot of collaboration and a lot of talking and a lot of helping and serving each other, but not a lot of competition. And over the years, I got deeper and deeper and deeper into that MSP community and realized how much our industry of IT people serve and support and love helping each other. And so I went through a journey of running an MSP and building my own up and then merged two together and ran that for another couple of years. And then we eventually sold that in 2016. And the writing was on the wall that all I wanted to do was go and create an international community of MSPs to build that for other people and to help all the people that are in there avoid all the stupid stuff that I did wrong over those years that I was in mine. And so that's what's got me to where we are today. And we're loving the journey. We're having a bunch of fun and helping a lot of people. And it's fun.
If you mention in any public forums and other tech forums, like even on Reddit, like what should I join? I'm thinking about, getting into more of the MSP side. It's like you'll find a clamoring of people saying tech tribe. So
yes,
it is awesome.
I would tell I met you through working with other people that introduced me to you, and it's spot on. You've created a really good reputation, and people do immediately come to you, which is nice. And that's not even, and you don't even market.
No, well, that is, funnily enough, I say I don't market, but we really do because that is our marketing. And there's this old Walt Disney quote. I don't know whether it's true or not, but he says that the way to build a business is to build a business and a product so darn good that your customers cannot help but tell their friends about you. And that's what I've built in the Tech Tribe is we do everything for the whole reason to make our members nearly feel guilty if they don't tell their friends about us because we give them so much darn value out there. And like the part of that is our price point. We've got a stupidly low price point that we actually get questions from. We've had a number of people ask us that they feel embarrassed paying us the amount that they pay us and want to pay us more, which is kind of weird. Like very rare to get that. But it's part of our marketing is that we deliver so much darn value that our customers and members can't help but tell their friends about us. And that's our marketing strategy out there. And it works.
Well, if you need a bank account to send extra money to, I can give you that after this.
Put a link. What's your internal rate of return?
There's a link below of my banking and routing number. Feel free, or my PayPal, or OnlyFans, whatever it takes. I'm in.
Bitcoin, anonymous.
I mean, yeah. If you don't want to take the money, there's the.
I'm a capitalist. I'm still a capitalist. I'm underneath the layers.
I mean, if you don't want to take the extra money I want to give you, it comes back to the Go Giver book, right?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to receive. I'm willing to receive the money you don't want.
Yeah. I got some euros sitting over there from last trip that I could probably shuffle off just to save me having to transfer them at the bank. I can probably
if you need
some of them your way.
I mean, they send it. That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Actually, my 13-year-old daughter will think they're amazing. Like, even though she already has some, she'll be like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Yeah, it's magic money." Coincidentally enough, I got a quick story about euros, and then we'll put it back to you. When I was in Germany, I got there. I was stationed there when I was in the army, and that's when the euros were kicked in gear full force, right? And so, like over here, anytime back in the day, you spend $1, $2 on something in cash. If I get change back, I put it in a jar, right?
Yeah.
So never really thinking about that. The change in euros was $1 and $5, or €5 and €1, right? So we would go to the bar, we'd pay money, we get change, and it was me and my roommate. And we went to the bar a lot, obviously. Lots of change. So we had this big jug full of change, and we're like, you know what? We're gonna cash our change in later on, and we're gonna buy something and do something. We cashed in. So we 6 months into this, we cashed in our change. It's like €800. It's 800 euros. And then we're like, well, hell, we might as well buy a Euro row pass and you might as well travel with the 800 euros. And that's what we did. It was like, and I didn't think anything about it because it was change. It was pocket change.
Yeah.
I need that in my life again.
It's all those little things that add up like that.
What's that?
It's all those little things that add up, the little nuances you do to build something.
It's just like changing your pocket when you throw it into a jar. That's all we were doing. We come back, feeling really good about our day, and we had change. We just throw that in there, and again, like 800 euros later, I was like, holy hell!
Yeah.
Well, we bought so much beer. We bought more beer and got more change. It was amazing.
I was about to say you probably just spent it all on beer again, right?
Yeah, and I got more change back. It was like keep giving. I was like, here we go again. So, all right. So, and speaking of that currency, what is your currency?
What is my currency?
Yeah,
time. Like the stereotypical as it is, it's time, right? Like we all just are buying time, and me nowadays, like I just want to buy as much quality time that I can get in this world to do awesome things. And like I said before, I'm a capitalist at heart. I love making money, but I also love helping and serving and supporting. And that's why I've built the community that we've built in the industry that I've built it. And so for me, seeing people have wins and seeing momentum and seeing that we're having an impact out on our members' lives and businesses and worlds and everything, that's what drives me more than the money. The money's awesome, but the other stuff is awesomer. And seeing impact and having impact and like those threads that you guys are talking about on all the social media posts forums where everybody's saying come and join the Tech Tribe, that's what drives us. That's what, like, we see that sort of stuff and go, like, the stuff we do all day every day when we wake up and we don't want to do what we do, some days when we're having a bad day or whatever, that gets us out of bed and makes us do what we're doing there. And so momentum, impact, of course, dollars, and just buying time freedom out there to go. And like, to me, I've got this massive, deep love of this planet that we live on and the people that are on it. And I could spend the next 500 years traveling to the four corners of this planet, just talking to people and learning their stories and understanding things about them. And I want to buy as much time as I possibly can to be able to do that out there. So I've got a few different currencies in there that kind of all intermingle into this impact, fun, meeting people, like networking and whatnot from there.
It's really cool because you can see what you built, and it is that story that I see. I say you were. I see, like, I seen on Reddit when people are talking about this and Tech Tribe's place Montreal, or I've noticed it on Facebook and things like that. And it's really cool. And there's enough of them, like we mentioned. A couple weeks in June, we'll all be at IT Nation Secure, and there's enough members out of that group that we can create a subgroup of Tech Tribe members just to go hang out with. And I see a smile on your face just mentioning that. It's cool thing, because how many of you helped and people that went and downloaded all the different materials you put together there and things like that. And it's really cool.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, one of the guys, Richard Tubb, who heads up a lot of our meetups around the world at the moment, we're starting to put meetups everywhere at the moment. And his team put together this little video the other day, and it was only a 1 or 2 minute video, but it was a video of all the meetups that they're having over in the UK. And all I could see is all of these MSPs jumping into rooms, hugging each other and having these deep conversations and whatever. And to me, that is really what it's all about, because they're all having that exact same aha moments that I had that first day that I was in that Microsoft building. And to me, that lights me up, seeing those people that are like, let's not beat around the bush. Like, our industry can be bloody hard and tough and unrewarding and relentless and really challenging on our mental health. And so to be able to be a part of a group that's building a support structure around MSPs to be able to help them have that journey together and to share that journey and to have people to support them through that journey is incredibly rewarding and incredibly fulfilling. And seeing the outputs of that in those videos and eventually when I get back out and being able to meet people in person and just seeing the impact of what we're having out there is just, that's really honestly what drives us out there. And I love it.
I love that too.
And I think the MSP and tech community, once people get out of that mindset of the competition, like that, the guy down the street is my competition, reality is what we're working towards and what causes all this angst and things like that is we have a common goal of keeping our clients secure and, things like, we'll say in broad terms, like the patching of the systems. And it was so like a perfect storm last Patch Tuesday, because CISA sent out a notice that, hey, active exploit, Microsoft has a patch for this problem with one of the Windows servers. Make sure you patch it. It's like a government-led announcement. Like, this is a big problem and we all have to deal with Windows in the market because that's the dominant platform people are using, our clients are using. So we run out and patch it. Then 3 days later, CISA goes, don't patch it because it causes the system to crash. And we're like, I got a conflicting problem: active exploit or cause the system to crash. And that's not a competition thing. That's all of us working and having to think together, going, how do we solve this problem together? We can commiserate over it and things like that. It's at this point, and this is what causes that mental stress. Which one is it? It's like the print nightmare problems we had last year that took so long to fix. We're all just trying to make people's printers work, and we all hate printers to begin with collectively. So,
and there is never going to be a shortage of problems with tech, and there's never going to be a shortage of challenges and all of it. And as much as the people's some vendors will say it's going to get better and better and better, it's getting worse and worse and worse because of the complexity and the integrations and all that sort of stuff out there. And so having support systems around and the industry working together as a whole, not as these individual silos, is incredibly important. Not only from MSPs working together and hanging together and sharing the journey together, but also vendors and MSPs talking better together.
Oh yeah,
and we're on a big drive in that lately as well in the MSP world, because we've seen like it kind of got to that point, and it's still there to a degree where there's this kind of argy-bargy between MSPs and vendors out there, and it's like there's no relationship. It's like a fighting all the time, and we really want to see that shift, because the more you collaborate, and sure, there's going to be vendors that let clients down, and there's going to be all of that stuff's always going to happen, but we want to encourage the industry to deal with it professionally and have that professional discord and talk to each other properly and appropriately to be able to help improve the products and improve the industry and improve all the services that we've got out there for the betterment of everybody. The whole argy-bargy like fights and vendors are crap and all of this kind of thing that's got to go. And we've got to work together, not only just as MSPs, but also as vendors out there, and all get in the same rooms and have those proper conversations and stop beating each other up around the ears and, or do it nicely, do it with some boxing gloves on rather than gloves off, and just help move the industry forward as a collective.
I think that's an important thing.
I have a question. Did you say beating each other around the ears? Is that the comment that you just made?
I did.
I don't know what that means.
Beating each other around the ears, boxing. Having a box.
So boxing their ears.
Yeah, boxing their ears.
Okay.
We just see it too much out there at the moment.
I mean, I'm just trying to. I mean, I changed my thing for sticky beak because I figure that's like the most appropriate thing for a community. People only go on because they're nosy, right?
Yes.
Trying to figure out things.
You're missing out.
And in case anyone, because we didn't say this implicitly at the beginning, so me and Sean are here in the United States, and Nigel is not. So we didn't mention at the beginning, the Tech Tribe is all the way on the other side of the planet. We should have just put him upside down at the beginning, but I'm not that clever with the video stuff.
Well, no, I think he's in a perfect spot. He's from the land down under, so he's on the bottom, we're on the top. I think it's perfect.
We got to call it the land down under.
So I've been practicing for years. I have a good friend, Cameron Avery, lives over in Australia. And just to annoy him, I'd always say, "Good day, mate." And he's like, "That's so stupid."
Sounds horrible.
Yeah. So I just I hear it's horrible what I'm saying. Like I don't sound right. So I started like saying it like I was Southern. I was like, do like a Southern drawl, and he'd be so annoyed the whole time. Like, "Good day, mate." He's like, "That's so stupid. You sound like a moron." I'm like, "You look like a moron. We're good. So perfect." I just want to be Australian when I grow up. That's what I want to be.
Not allowed. We've got too many spiders and deadly stuff over here.
I've heard everything there wants to kill you. So
yeah, everything wants to kill you. We come up with that warning, even though it's not like that. We just do it to keep immigration down.
It's probably effect. The distance is what keeps me from wanting immigration. Yeah. Really far.
12 hours on a sardine can.
You're talking about things killing you. Obviously, I've not met my ex-wife, so I mean, I'm okay with Australia.
So our snakes and spiders are pretty easy compared to.
Yes, the answer is yes. Whatever you're going with is yes. True. So let's talk more about this. Then you told us a lot already. I gave you a list of questions, man, and you like ran through them without even me asking them. And so I don't have to go through too much of that. But it sounds like what motivates you is actually the service leadership, the servant leadership. Because I constantly see you. I see you in the group itself always providing really good content, really good feedback. The other thing I will give you accolades for is I don't see a lot of complaining on there, not in the big way, because I think we've all seen enough groups, especially on like Reddit, where it's just
groups,
like those groups that like, oh my goodness, and they're always and it's a vendor, and back to the vendor partner relationship is always a very tricky thing because who owns what responsibility and where did it fall short? That's what the problem always is, right? So I appreciate that about your group completely.
The good thing is it's pay to play. So to become a member of our group, you got to pay. And so that changes the whole dynamic in that. And we also force people to show up with their name. So you can't hide anonymously in there. So you got to show up with your name, you pay to play. And we have our culture and our guidelines and rules that include things like no vendor bashing. If you've got a problem with a vendor, by all means, air it in there and do it, but you do it in a professional way so that you get the best chance of getting a response and some help out there. But you come and bash, and we end up, and we're lucky. We're very, very, very rarely. We've got 100 and something thousand posts that have happened in there now. But I think we've only had to moderate maybe 3 to 5 of them where we've had to hide them out of hundreds of thousands, 100,000 plus in there. And it's because people just show up in better behavior because they're in someone else's house. They're in our house, and we maintain that. Like, we lead from the top with that air of professionalism, and we set the standard for how things should be, and everyone shows up in that right way. And that's very important for us. Like, we want to maintain that sense where people can come and feel safe, vendors and MSPs alike, to not only get help but give help, but also to so that no one gets attacked in there. And like, there's nothing worse than being a vendor or being an MSP or being anybody and just feeling attacked in a space. Like, it's not going to help anybody at all through that. So we work hard to police that in some, or not police that, but build the culture around that being our default mode of how it shows people show up inside the tribe.
I love that.
Oh, I think it's important too, because I had this discussion with my friends who built up his Discord, and I've done a terrible job related to my main YouTube channel building my Discord. But his secret to it is really simple. He says everyone has to pay a minimum of $1 a month to be there. He goes, once they pay anything, they don't want to get thrown out. I don't have if you behave badly, you'll get thrown out. So he's hardly had to do moderation, and he's got thousands of people on there. And I'm like, it sets the bar, because that's, maybe some of the free forums, and it's not like you're setting up to be this, as you said, you don't charge much at all for these, setting this low bar. But the fact that they had to pay something means it's not like Reddit, where I'm going to set up an anonymous account. I'm going to be a horrible person. I'm just going to complain about things sometimes, because that's what gets engagement with people. Because every post on Reddit that starts out with "screw this place I work" or some hate towards this vendor immediately gets upvoted, and people chiming in and going rah rah. You can really gather a lot of attention like that, and some people do it that way, and
people thrive on it, and it becomes this crazy echo chamber, like a self-fulfilling echo chamber of negativity, and negativity breeds negativity, and it just never gets anywhere. And unfortunately, you see, look, it's funny, you actually see sometimes some of these people that have been in that mode out on Reddit or wherever it happens to be come into the tribe, and they think they come in and they try the same angle in there. And you'll see a bunch of people say, hey, like, the tribe's a friendly place, you might want to reconsider the way you're talking in here. And you see, like, pretty much every time an apology comes from them saying, oh, sorry, I was too harsh, I was too whatever in there. And just this week it happened. We had a fairly heated conversation happened between a vendor and an MSP. And us as moderators, we stepped in and said, hey, we didn't step in and delete posts. We step in and we corral the conversation so that people can see that we're not, like, I don't want to delete stuff, but I want to help people have those productive conversations better. And we did. And apologies from both sides saying, sorry, I definitely came across too strong. And I've definitely learned my lesson over here of not doing what I did and whatever. And that's to me the best outcome we can have of all, because people are learning in there to communicate in a better, more elevated way, and they're going to get better results out of it.
Yes, I was about to say, what you just did there is you emceed the conversation, and you made it constructive, and you trained them how to speak better, back to elevating. And I think that's really, it became more constructive instead of destructive. And that's what you typically see.
Yeah, and that's what we need.
Yeah, I do that. It's like my de-escalation that I've always done. You deal with customer things and things like that. I start with, they come at you with a problem, and sometimes they come out with emotion, anger, and they're in attack mode. And I just pause it. What is your goal? What is the outcome that would make you happy? And it diffuses them, because they just wanted to complain at first, and I go, wait, I have to think about what would make me happy.
Someone's listening to me.
I thought yelling was just going to get more yelling back at me, and I never yell back. I just my kids too. That drives them nuts. Well, I wanted to complain about school, but I guess I got to actually tell you what I want now.
So let's talk about, this is a good question, especially for you, since you're so intertwined with the community and needs. And it comes back to product and vendors. What product or service in this space should exist, and why doesn't it?
I saw your question in the pre-questions on that one. I sat with that for ages going like, that is such a tough question because our industry is so well served by so many products out there and so many services out there. And it's matured for many years to that point. But what I will say, and this is probably, I've got a little bit of bias in here because we do a lot of education to the industry, but there is still a severe lack of good quality education to MSPs around how to run and be a business and run an MSP. And like all the other professional services industries, like lawyers and accountants and CPAs and all that sort of stuff, have got this huge plethora of education and training around how to do their craft and all of these requirements on how to maintain that stuff. And our industry, it's got bits and pieces here and there, but it's still very immature. And so I don't think we need another cybersecurity tool or another PSA tool. Like we're so well served by all of those things. I think we need more education on how to do business better, how to do marketing better, how to hire people better, how to lead a team better, how to grow a business better, how to deal with personal productivity and mindset matters better. And I think all of that stuff is the stuff that we try to have our little play in it, but there's such a huge opportunity to do that. There is so much room for other people to come in and help around that, helping the startups MSPs and the early MSPs and the MSPs that haven't been exposed to business before, how to do business and how to do business as an MSP in the best way and the most profitable way and the best way to look after their clients out there. So I think it's, if there's anything that's missing in the industry, I think it's that, not another tool out there at the moment.
Sure. I think it's a good point to that because here in the U.S., if you're a lawyer, you say you're a lawyer, you can represent me in court. You've passed the bar exam.
Yes, exactly.
And I imagine something similar in your country too, but that doesn't exist. Like I can put a hat on and just go, I'm an MSP.
I'm an MSP.
Yeah.
I'm going to compete against the big guys that have been here for 30 years and sometimes win because it all comes down to personality a lot of the time with the win.
Yeah.
But what the good thing is that is obviously changing and governments are starting to step in because of the whole cybersecurity incident space and whatever. But then there's industry things that are popping up like Cal Palachuk's National Society of, I'll get it wrong, NSITP or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister, but he's stepping up and he's corralling all these MSPs together to start to have that formalized certification process in that at least set some minimum standard across our industry, which is so needed out there like crazy. And then as we set some minimums, then we can start to move those minimums up. And the legal industry and the accounting industry, they've been around for 100+ years. So they've had that time to mature. We're now at that point where we've got to start our baseline, which doesn't exist at all at the moment, start that baseline. And then over the next 10, 20, 30 years, start stacking onto that and improving it as we go.
I want to point out two things. One thing is I really love that Tom used the attorney aspect, considering you're in Australia and it was founded by a criminal colony. So that's really good first. Second, that's true. I've talked to a ton of MSPs in my life and I ask them, what made you start your business? And their response almost 80% of the time, maybe 90 is, I fell into it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, you went to school for IT. No. Okay.
Nope.
But you know what? I'm 55 years old and I started at a firm, at a IT provider or something. We were setting up websites and email domains and then I learned how to do help desk. And that's what you hear them say. And I got really
exactly
good there.
how I started.
There exactly. Right. And it's so true.
Standard fare.
Yeah, it is. And that's why you go from, and I feel like that's why MSPs all start with break fix first, because they started funneling clients. They found a side project from a client that was with their current employer and start doing work with them. And that's like a consulting gig and it's break fix. Like, oh, I'll come over your house and fix your computer. Yeah, sure. Why not? And it's kind of like that. And every one of them, I asked that question. I said, I'm like, well, why are you still in business then? You've been in business for 15 years. Why are you still in business? And they're like, well, I make a paycheck. I created my own paycheck. And I'm like, but why did you start a business? And I think the hardest thing for them to do is realize why they started the business, because I see a lot of them end up in a rat race where they're chasing problems, you know? And I think when I started a business, and why I don't have one now, because I messed up because I couldn't figure it out, was I got in to save time and make as much money on the limited time. So back to your currency of time. Yeah. And I think that's the big thing. So I could have family time. But what ended up happening is I started chasing everything. Like only I could do it. Only I could do that. I'm the best ever. Meanwhile, I was probably the worst ever. But I'm not you. I'm better than you, and you work for me. So just do what I tell you, which is at the end, go fix the printer.
And it's 100%. That's like we all I think that same journey happened to nearly everyone in the MSP space. Is we fell into it, and we fell into it with no business sense and no business qualifications and no business experience. And I hadn't been exposed to any sort of, like, my family background. My parents brought me up to not even talk to business owners because they were too important for us. And so we had no one in the family owned businesses or anything like that. And so, yeah, and that's a lot of MSPs are like that. They kind of fall into business, and their initial why is, as you said, like freedom. But like for me, my initial why was even more basic and rudimentary, was that I kind of fell into it, and I had $50,000 in credit card debt, and I was living in this tiny little apartment in Sydney, and I just needed to pay my bills before the bank knocked on my door. And so I didn't have this big why about creating a business to make millions and have an impact or anything like that. My big why was just to live and to survive. And I knew that people would give me money to help them with computers because I didn't know why, and I had no confidence around doing it properly. But that was my why. And then over the years, as you get more confidence and as you have bigger impact and you learn things, your why changes, and your why elevates out there. And my why nowadays is wildly different to my why back then, which was just put food on my table to eat this Friday night and stop the bank from harassing me about this 50 grand credit card debt. Nowadays, it's a completely different why. And I think all of us go through that journey. And in my what I like to encourage younger or smaller or earlier MSPs nowadays is, if you're in those early stages and you're kind of feeling like you're in that survival mode, don't do what I did and just stay in that survival mode, which is your blinkers on for years and years and years at a time, because you will be challenged. Like, you'll end up with mental health challenges, and you'll end up with all sorts of craziness going on like I did. Spend some time, or find some time, or create some time to go and do that intentional thing about where you want to go and what your business exists for and why you exist for and what you want to do in your life. It's hard when you're in that survival mode, but it is so vitally important to give yourself a clearer vision of where you want to go. And I think the more we can spend time, and the more any of us in business can spend time figuring out that and working towards it, the easier business becomes, because we've got a bigger why and a bigger reason and a bigger sense of self to attach to, rather than just putting food on the table and surviving till tomorrow without being torn apart by our customers.
I couldn't agree more. Completely.
And rant.
Yeah. But that rant is shorter than most Reddit posts. So good job.
It had a better value.
Yeah, it actually had value.
Poor Reddit, we're giving him a bad run over here.
No. There's a lot of good in Reddit. I'm not gonna, I'm there for a reason. I do know where to find the good. You gotta subscribe to places and engage.
I've been a vendor for a lot of my life, so Reddit is not where I hang out.
No, that's right. I won't lie.
I just stay away.
It's like be incognito. You can't go by your name as a vendor there.
Yeah, no. I have a few choice names that I wanted to put for my account, but none of them would have boded well. I would have been like totally the protagonist, and I would have been like, I can't say, we're a family show, so I won't say it. But like, seriously, bad stuff, man. Bad stuff. Yeah, my most successful business that wasn't even a business. It was a business, but it was like I was trying to prove a lesson. I have daughters in her 20s, and they kept asking me for money, right? This is like when they were like 13, 14, like all the time. 3 daughters between the ages of 13 and 16, 17 years old, right? Like, can we get money? Can we get money? I was like, you know what? We're going to start a business. I bought a hot dog cart. And I was like, you guys are going to run this. It turned into me running it because they were like, we can't figure out. But like, so my eldest daughter, she has like OCD, right? She's like, line item Excel spreadsheets, that's like her favorite pastime, and she's a clean freak too because she has OCD. So we started a hot dog cart, and what I learned right away though, I was like, okay, we have a cart, now where do we go? So then my other daughter liked community relations, so she goes online and she's like, hey, there's this vendor site you can pay to get all the events that are going on in the area. I'm like, okay, cool. They're like $600 for the year. I'm like, okay, cool. So we buy it. I'm like, you guys owe me that money back. So literally your first paychecks are going to go to paying for the cart and the supplies and whatever we do. And then after that, you start profiting. And they're like, we got to pay for it all up front. I'm like, yeah, because you keep asking me for money anyway. So you're and we had a decently, I mean, we operated for 2 years with a cart, right? And they were making anywhere from, we were set up at tailgates for Steeler games, and we would bring in, we would gross about $300 or $400 in 3 hours of work.
And massive lessons that they would have got through that process. And that's the awesome part.
Oh yeah. You learn about process, procedure, pricing, advertising, logistics.
Confidence in getting out there. Like,
oh my goodness.
Huge. I can't wait to get to that point with my girls. They're younger at the moment. We've done a few minor things like that, but I can't wait to get to the point where they're doing it like that.
It was fun. It turned out to be really fun. Like we even signed a contract with a farm that did a pumpkin patch, like during Halloween to Thanksgiving. Every 5 weekends, we took over all their concessions, and I taught them how to change the way they do money. And we ended up increasing the better product with better prices and everything else, and getting to the point where we took what they used to do for profit, or even just gross revenue, and we multiplied it by almost 20 times, because they had like a 70-year-old woman that would carry cases of pop up to the place up a hill that was like this. I'm like, man, there's nobody ever getting a pop ever. Nobody's ever getting a drink. It's never happening. So like I staff and there'll be like 2 other people working there. I had like 10 people working there. They bring all their friends and they'd manage their friends. All I would do is run and get supplies. That's it. It was amazing. So that's my
that experience at that age is just phenomenal, being able to, and I just hope I can do the same to our kids. It's just giving them that experiences at those ages to set them up so that they can solve those, whatever problem that hits them in the future. They can look at it from an angle of commerciality or business or whatever it is and figure out their way through it and solve those problems and lead a team of people around them. And
I agree. Well, I think it comes down to, you always hear about street smarts and book smarts, right?
Yes.
But you have to have a combination of both, and it has to turn into business acumen. I feel like business acumen to me fits the void of, it fills all the check boxes on product, procedure, and everything else, but also people skills. I think that's the biggest thing, is the people skill element in the culture you develop. Because if you don't have a good culture, you're not going to have a good showing on anything you do.
And that's what, especially in a tech meeting, like you said, even you in the beginning, Nigel, we go from these introverted computer nerds. A lot of us, we emerged from the back server rooms and had to go in front of customers. And that's a big learning experience to be able to sell and get in front of people. And there's this concept even I had when I first started, is I didn't have the marketing at all under control, because I was like, well, I know how to fix things, so people will call me to fix things, right? Turns out they don't.
If you build it, they will come is a pile of crap.
It is.
We already had that conversation. We've had that conversation before. If you build it, they will come. I agree, but I also disagree. It's just a matter of what are you building? Okay. Not product. Because if you just build a product and nobody knows about it, it's irrelevant. So if you build a product or a value add to any industry, but then you build a strategy and a tactical approach to actually promoting it, educating people on it, and selling it. So if you build that, they will come. It's just a matter of people stop at building. They come is just the field in the middle of a cornfield, and nobody knows it exists. But somehow in that movie they knew. So you have kids. How many kids?
Three crazy ones. One turned 9 this morning or today. Just dropped at the train station to go to Sydney for a school excursion.
Excursion. I love the fact they use the word excursion. When I think of excursion, I think I'm at an all-inclusive and I paid for an excursion to go zip line. Like we call it field trip.
Oh, right. Okay. No, we're excursions.
Yeah, it sounds way better. Does it, Tom? Does it not sound better?
I like the phrasing better.
Yeah, like
excursion.
Like if my school said, your daughter's going on an excursion, I'm like, I want to go. I volunteer. And instead of freaking like, I don't know, children's bookstore. Like, oh God, but it sounds so exciting. It's an excursion. God, I want to use your words.
Excursion. So 3 of the crazy ones. One's 9. The eldest is 9, and the youngest is turned 1 this week as well. They both got their birthdays in the same week.
Congratulations.
Crazy little man he is.
You look well rested.
Yeah, just. My aura ring, this thing here doesn't tell me that I'm well rested last night. The little guy was up for hours and hours and hours last night. He's going through one of those little growth spurts where he needs to feed at midnight and 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. and he's screaming at those times because he thinks that there's no food left on the planet.
Yeah.
And not fun.
You should. Well, you can always go on an excursion and find food.
Yeah. I need to get him out soon.
So, okay. This is a question I have for both of you, actually. IT introverted people somehow created marketing pieces that you guys both love that have generated you business. So this is applicable to all the people that watch our show. What changed? How did you change it? How did you make it happen?
Oh, that was right. I'm sure with you as well, Tom, that was such a journey learning marketing and transitioning from learning to doing. For me, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, because when you're doing, you've got to put yourself out there, not only your business, but yourself out there. And for me being when I was younger, we were talking about it off air, this crazy introverted guy that went through school getting bullied like crazy for my hair color and my name, that I didn't like talking to people at all. Like, I was scared to talk to anybody. I had no sense of self-worth or confidence. And so when you get when you get to business and you get to the point where you've got a market to survive, you've got to go through, you've got these big, what do you call them? Like walls that you've got to try and figure out your way over. And it was tough. I remember, like, we're on video now, and all of us look confident on video, but I guarantee all three of us weren't confident on video the first times. And I remember when I knew that I just needed to do video because I knew that it was like, I saw friends getting results with it and whatever. And so I trying to do my first videos, and I was sitting in my office. This was when I had my MSP, and I was a raging alcoholic back then as well, because of the stress and the mental health challenges I went through. And I was sitting there with a bottle of whiskey on my desk, and I was just trying to record this 1 minute video. I just had this vision to do a 1 minute video that scared the crap out of me. And I think I had done something like 60 to 70 takes. And I was on my desk, tears streaming down my face, punching my desk, just going, why can't you do this? Like, what is wrong with you compared to everybody else out there? Why has everybody else got it so easy? But I kept pushing and pushing and pushing, knowing that I needed to do it, and knowing that I had that vision there. And that video eventually got out, and it was horrific. You can still, I saw it somewhere the other day. It was horrific, but that whole journey of getting out and doing marketing is just continual tiny steps, building your confidence at a layer at a time, and just being persistent at it. And I think persistence is probably one of the biggest traits of success out there, is just being dog-headedly persistent in going and pushing into your uncomfort zone out there, and getting past all these things. And yeah, I think that to me is my journey. It's just pushing into the uncomfortable areas, and you then not getting to the point where you go, okay, now I feel comfortable. Finally, it took me years to feel comfortable, and you do that work, and then it's nowadays marketing and jumping in front of a camera and whatever is easy, but it was bloody hard. And I want anybody out there that's thinking, oh, I couldn't do what these guys could do. I bet you could. You just got to put the time into it, and you could get there. And you've probably got a world of wisdom to share, and a world of knowledge that you could share out there in the world if you want to go and do it. It just takes that time to get past the blocks and the mental barriers and the confidence lifts out there.
I would agree. I think if the fact that I'm able to do it, because I don't mind talking in person to person, I'm good. I love that. I can have a conversation all day long. But the first video I went to do, I was hosting a webinar. The person I was doing with, I knew her well, but she's very accomplished. She had spoken a million times on stage and everywhere else. And I was acting frantic, I guess, to her. She's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing, I'm good. Let's just go. Like, let's just go. And she's like, what's the problem? Like, honestly, can we just get this started? Because
nerves.
Like, yeah. And I realized, like, that time, and I never like to watch myself after I did it. I want to forget it happened, honestly. And so, yeah, it was very difficult. And then you just gotta, I think you said it best. Like, you just got to do it. You got to be, you said you got to be dog-headedly persistent. I would agree with that.
Brute force repetition. That's
brute force repetition. Just like
I've done so many of these things. Like, when people say, "Oh, you got this right or that right," I'm like, I have 1,600 published videos on my channel.
Yeah.
I made way more than that. I published 1,600 videos. I can't even tell you how much hit the cutting room floor and never seen the light of day. And things I screwed up. And that's. There's an illusion you create sometimes when people see a finished product without the knowledge, until you've gone through the iterations it took to get there. It's like watching someone who's really good at playing guitar. You're like, I'll never get there. But then again, they weren't there at one point in time. They were just strumming along in the basement, way out of tune, weren't singing together right. That's actually one of the cool things about, even with music, when you find these bootleg albums and stuff before it was polished and published and put together, you're like, oh, that band really wasn't good back then. That bootleg really isn't worth listening to. They don't want it out because it's not good, not because it's some copyright problem. It's and once you start learning that, you're like, oh, I only see the polished version of that.
And sometimes it can, like, when I was younger, it used to sometimes take the shine off things, right? Like, you look at it and go, I look at this person as my hero or whatever, or like they're just phenomenal to be able to do that. But then you see some of their process behind the scenes of them learning, and it nearly takes the shine off, or it used to, for me, take the shine off, and you go, it's like that saying, don't meet your hero, right? Yeah. It kind of ruins it. But I think a lot of us have evolved to that point now where we do, because we've gone through our own similar journeys. We look at it and we go, hey, I do like to see that process that they've gone through now, because it's inspiring to me to see the from and the to and where they've come from. And and it doesn't take the shine. It puts extra shine on it to see the whatever they've had to, the amount of work that they've got to do, because I know the amount of work that they've had to do to go and get to that point, and it's inspiring to see it. So anyway,
well, we have
end rant on that one too.
We
I'll rant on that one for a while.
You're good at ranting. You're like the modern day Archie Bunker. So you don't even know who Archie Bunker is, do you?
No, that's why I had a blank face then.
So
I'll share with 70s sitcom here in the United States.
Oh my lord! Yeah, he would just rant all the time about whatever. So we have the most important question left to ask you. What is your love language?
Sean loves that question.
The book. It's funny. I've looked at all the love languages a number of times, and I actually don't hardcore identify with any of them in there. And I really hardcore don't identify with the gifts one in there. And people find that funny because I am a big gift giver. We spend $50,000 plus a year giving out gifts to people, and I love doing it. I love finding awesome, weird, quirky gifts to go and give people to show appreciation. But in reverse, I'm the polar opposite. I hate receiving gifts. I can't stand my birthday or Christmas because I just don't like the thought of receiving gifts. But if I was to put it down to one and someone held a gun to my head and said, "What is your love language?" It's probably touch. I love getting out and giving a mate a hug when we meet in a conference or whatever it happens to be, or hugging the kids, or hanging out, sitting with one of the kids with our arms around each other, eating lunch or whatever. And my second one would probably be words of affirmation. So just people saying, "Hey, thanks for," like that. That's, as I said, what drives us to do what we do is people saying, "Hey, thanks. Like we've done this, or we've had that, or we've seen this." And they're not direct words. They're more them going out and saying, "Hey, go and join the tech tribe," or whatever it is. That to me is a word of affirmation, because it's affirming that we've created something awesome in there. So those two kind of together are probably my love languages.
And yes, Nigel does love sending gifts, because thank you. Because I was waiting, because I was wondering if there'd be one. Thank you. You did send me a nice book. So I got that.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember I hunted down some awesome Aussie chilies to send you.
Did. And I ate them. They were great hot sauces. Yes, they are. And for those of you who don't follow my channel, I'm a big hot sauce nut. So
yes. I've got a 1-minute warning for my next meeting.
Yes, Nigel, do you like hot stuff?
I do, to a degree, yeah.
Because we can do
not Tom level hot.
We can do another record. I did Tom level hot. I like hot, so we can do a recording. We can eat some hot stuff. We ate the hot chocolate stuff that one day.
I saw. Did you guys do that in the past?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did.
We were full of regret.
I was good. I mean, it was hot that day. The next day, like I set up shop in my bathroom. I was hanging out there all day. I was like, I would walk away. I'm like, I'm back in. It was my daughter was like, "Can you please get out?" I was like, "No, I can't. Please get out." Like,
you got to rent a portaloo for the front yard and for 3 days.
Yeah,
afterwards.
I'm like, call plumbers for need it and dial 911 because I'm struggling.
Yeah, I won't be joining you on that show. Trust me.
Yeah.
Oh, you can join us. We'll give you like the lesser.
I'll have a jalapeno.
I like jalapenos.
I love them. Not spicy.
They're not.
Well, I'm gonna have to love you and leave you though.
Yep, this was awesome. Thank you for taking the time. I know you got a meeting to jump right into. You're cutting it to the last minute. Greatly appreciate you being here.
No worries. Thank you for having me on. It's been fun, and I hope to be back one of these days or years.